You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's True Blood After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's True Blood After Show.
And with that theme, it can only mean one thing. Welcome, AFTERBUZZ TV Nation. Of course, we all know that Bing is for doing, and we're doing another after show for AFTERBUZZ TV. I'm JC, and this is the after show for True Blood, Season 5, Episode 6, titled Hopeless. Now, you're wondering why, if you guys are listening, wait, that's not Jenna nor Roth. Well, the girls are represented at the 2012 San Diego Comic-Con, and I think they're probably high on V-Blood as we speak. So tonight we're holding down the fort. As I said, I'm JC, and joining me as always, let me introduce my partner in crime.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. I'm Yerman, and to my left...
Hi, everybody. I'm Krisily Kennedy.
Yes, we had to bring in a girl. We had to bring in a little woman's perspective, because if it would have been the boys' night, it could have just been a whole lot of trouble, and we'd have been just talking about fairies all night.
I'm happy to be the girl tonight.
Yeah.
But we also can't forget running the ones and twos, Miss Marissa. What's up, Marissa?
Hello, everyone.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up? How
right.
you doing, girl? Okay.
Okay, guys,
Sorry.
we've got so much to talk about.
Yes.
Just quick impressions. What do you guys think of the episode? Just in a sentence or two.
I kept saying it while you were watching it, that it's a tired phrase at this point, but it definitely was getting real in the Whole Foods parking lot this week. I was the whole time I was like, oh, every scene. For those of you who can only listen to that was me being surprised. Just so you know.
Yeah, no, and a quick shout out also, if you guys are watching us on AfterBuzzTV.com live, what's up, chat roll? Hey guys, make sure to send us your messages and we'll try to answer them accordingly. But if you're not watching us live, make sure to tune into us on iTunes with our podcast app. Yeah. All you have to do is, you have an iPhone, just go ahead and click on the icon. It'll take you straight to the podcast app, and it's got tons of podcasts, especially AfterBuzz. And if you click on it, it'll take you straight there. You can get all our over 30 shows we have a week, from Breaking Bad, Rizzoli and Isles, The Real Housewives, Keeping with the Kardashians, and True Blood, and so much more. And remember, it's all free.
Yeah.
All we ask is for you to comment, subscribe, and I've actually got a quick thing.
Yes.
I'm gonna throw this. If it gets me in trouble, Marissa, let me know. If Jenna and Rob beat us up. Okay, we really listen to you guys' stuff, and we're gonna have some fan love throughout the episode. Mm-hmm. But I'm calling the fans out real quick. If you guys send us the best comment this season, we're gonna send you an AfterBuzz TV cup with all of our signatures on it.
Ooh.
Oh, yes. At random, we're gonna pick someone. So we do listen and we do care. So
for sure.
Before I interrupted Krisily, what'd you think of the episode?
I thought the episode was great. The only parts that bored me were the Terry parts. But other than that, the episode was amazing.
Oh, those are fighting words. Look at, we're 3 minutes in and you're
Over
already laying
Terry.
down.
All of a sudden,
oh my God. Todd is probably still stuck on the 10 on his way over
probably.
here.
Poor guy.
I like him.
Poor guy, yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Okay.
Like him.
Okay, all right. So we're going to get into it. But first, before we get into the Terry and Patrick storyline,
let's get to the meat of it.
Let's talk about Sookie Stackhouse and the Funky Bunch. Sookie.
Oh, God.
Awesome.
You went there.
I had to.
Fantastic. And the Funky Bunch.
We talked about it last week because they were kind of like Scooby-Doo, Sookie with all her boys. And we left off last week with Alcide wolfing out and just everything going awry. And we have JD taking down Alcide, and just to open like a diversion so that Russell can take out Sookie.
Yeah.
So everything that happened, I mean, Sookie saps him. What's going on? What'd you get out of that?
Well, first of all, that scene was phenomenal. Just because, again, we're now all so excited by the fact that Sookie's so much more comfortable using her fairy powers. So it's great to be able to see her use that as not just like by accident, but like on purpose. So now you don't mess with her, because if you do, you get zapped. But it was interesting to see how that whole thing played out, and really nice to see that they were like a SEAL Team 6 operation. They went in, They went in, they got Russell, he's bagged, tagged, and out of there. And before you knew it, all you do it, and I love the fact that all the witnesses, the meal, so to speak, all those other people were thrown into the freaking shuttle. That was fantastic. They're all like, hey, are we going to get out of here soon? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Field trip.
Yeah.
That was so bad. And the end of Doug, you know, Alcide's little assistant and whatnot. What'd you think, Krisily? Were you surprised that Russell wasn't as weak as we thought he was?
No.
No,
I mean, when you saw all the bodies hanging there like it was in a meat locker, you knew that he'd been feeding. Like, it just reminded me of going the back of a meat store and there's all the meat just hanging. Like, you know he's been feeding, you know he's been there for some time. I definitely, when I saw him laying there, I was like, they're all stupid if they think that he's not.
So you weren't buying it all along?
No.
Okay.
I thought it was a great act, but I mean, he's Russell. Like, he's smarter than that. And whoever brought him there, which I thought was Nora, they're not stupid. Like, they set him up. They knew this was going to happen. And obviously we saw tonight there was a way bigger setup and plan than just to have him sit there and feed for a little bit.
Yeah, so much is going. And quick FYI, 2,800 always trumps 500. If we're talking about in vampire age, because we've wondered, how did, you know, Roman, he's only 500, and, you know, Russell's 2,800, how that battle was going to turn out. Well, we found out a little bit later, and we'll get into that in a second. But, you know, I noticed something that I don't know if you guys caught. Sookie, when she used her power on Russell, did you notice it? She kind of, it looked like it took a lot out of her this time. And later on, you also saw when, I'm jumping ahead with the fairies, but you see, like, maybe what's going on with their powers? Are they diminishing? Is something?
Well, I don't know if they're connected. I was led to believe when I watched the episode, and again, I'm jumping ahead here for just this one reference, but I thought that the reason why she was having difficulty with her powers later on in the episode was because of her location. Whereas I just assumed in the beginning, when she kind of winced a little bit, that it takes a lot more energy to kind of repulse a 3,000-year-old vampire than it does your average 2-bit human. But it's a really interesting point that you bring up, that they could be related, and she could be suffering from some sort of condition that's going to be developed over the next few episodes, where her fairy powers may be affected somehow, you know, as over the course of the, what am I trying to say? Overall.
Sure.
That's what I was trying to say. Wow.
No, it happens. It's Sunday.
So sorry. Yeah.
No, and also, Eric had the chance to kill Russell.
Yeah, but he couldn't.
Because they were going to die.
I mean, Bill, thank God for Bill.
Yeah, I agree.
Giving him a little, like, Eric, come on.
He needed some common sense there.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been, they would have died either way.
Okay. But
So it's like, what do you choose? You know what I mean? You could possibly live, or you kill him, and they wanted to possibly live because there's more they can do.
Buys him a little more time.
Right.
Okay. So don't you think that maybe Bill is becoming a little more like Eric? Right now, this is survival, sure. But throughout the episode, I noticed there were points, I believe I wrote it down, where it seemed like they did a role reversal. That Bill was being a little more about Eric. You know how Eric's always looking out for himself, and Bill has always been kind of looking out for everyone to a degree.
Right.
But today it seemed like he was looking out for himself. I'm going to find the quote. Talk amongst yourselves. But
well, no, he mentions it. Yeah, you're right. When he's back there, he said, you know, I realize this is something you want to do, but I do not want you to choose that path for me, because if you do this, we're dead.
Right.
So you can do whatever you want with your life, but I don't want you to affect what you do with mine. So that's a valid point, and that's interesting you bring that up, that Bill was actually for 1 second thinking himself and making sure that he survived, which is ultimately, you know, every being's prerogative is to make sure that they themselves survive. So yeah, it's interesting to see how, well, he at least got to kill two birds with one stone, because his interests also happened to keep both of them alive, and, you know, as well as get the job done, which was to bring Russell in.
And of course, the authority swoops in.
Yeah.
And
Instantly.
They did it in episode 1.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay. No, but they were being tracked.
Right.
They
No,
were,
I get
they were
that.
being tracked.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm gonna say it, the cock block moment of the season. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes, they asked them to glam Sookie, which you can't glamour Sookie. She's a fairy.
Right.
But Eric, Alcide. Dude, that was rough. He told Alcide not to be romantically involved with Sookie. That was so wrong.
But to protect her for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still.
You know, my question, well, how does the authority not know that Sookie's a fairy? Every other vampire that comes near her instantly smells her and knows that she's different. So how did these people in the authority come in and not smell that difference?
Great point.
I mean,
Because even if the files were something that Russell kept hidden, and you know, at one point there were files, Bill had done his research on Sookie and so on, all that stuff was kind of led up to. But you're absolutely right. Even if those files were something that only a small circle of people knew about, then how is it they're not smelling Sookie?
Like Quimby, I mean Kimbe?
Kibwe.
Yeah, Kibwe's character.
Unless can they smell Sookie or Sookie's blood? In which case, then if she's not somehow hurt or bleeding, can they still smell her? They should be able to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because remember when I don't know if it was last week or the week before, when Jessica was shopping and the boy walked in to pick up the dresses, and she was in the dressing room and she was like, "What is that? You smell delicious." And then he disappeared.
You're absolutely right.
They don't have to be bleeding. So how did all of those people in the authority not smell her?
Yeah. And that was the kid that's in the again, jumping in, but that's the one that was in the fairy club.
Claude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Claude, yeah.
Claude, one of the cousins, I believe. So I mean, it just set up, and that's basically before the credits kind of started.
Yeah, and that was at the top of the show.
Wow.
All this so far, and we haven't even gotten to the meat of the show yet. This was in the beginning.
Like literally 10 minutes in, we're still talking on the opening scene. That's how much went down. Compared to last week, even though Krisily and I, we kind of disagreed, you know, because most of us last week, we thought that it seemed like last week was more of a setup.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of things that went on aside from Terry and us finding out about the Ifrit and whatnot. But there wasn't a lot of stuff going on, and and you said that you noticed a whole bunch of stuff for last week's episode.
I thought last week's episode was amazing. I don't know what it was, but I felt like it was back to the truth. The first couple episodes for me dragged a little bit.
Okay.
And I understand that they have to give us history on the characters and a little bit backstory that shows us why they're doing the things they're doing now. Okay. But after 4 seasons, I felt like, okay, wait a minute, why are we doing this now? And I got a little like I didn't want to watch it for a minute. And then last week, for the first time, I felt like we had True Blood again. The vampires were doing something they weren't supposed to. And I just felt like we had it back. And the one thing that I know you're talking about is the last scene of last week shows Nora in her cell. And something that I had thought of, which I thought would be so interesting, is they're saying she's against everything they stand for and all these things, but when she looks like she's being taken over by something, and all I keep thinking of is that she's going to be taken over by Lilith.
Wow. See, none of it, we never. Boom. Yeah, we never.
I mean, I'm just saying.
No, we never thought of it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's the thing. Now, what you've said now is almost sacrilege to the guy to your right, because he's a big origin buff. So the fact.
Yeah. So now I'm just messed up by the fact that I didn't think of that first.
But we match, so it's totally okay.
Excellent. Yeah.
So you share it.
Well, I had to, last week I had to carry on a tradition. I have to match somebody.
Yeah, we were doing the best all last week.
Yeah.
Maybe they picked them up on Amazon or something.
There you go.
Which reminds me.
Can I tell you that I went to 3 stores today to try to get us True Blood for tonight, and had I gone to AfterBuzz TV and clicked on the banner and went to Amazon, then I could have had us all True Blood tonight, and I could have helped us at work. So I could have killed 2 birds with 1 stone.
How could you have helped us at work?
Because if you go to AfterBuzz TV's website first and click on Amazon, it gives us credit and it helps keep our lights on. And we could have been quenched with True Blood.
Quenched.
So we expect, hopefully we'll get some next week then.
Yeah.
I mean, I may not be here to visit you next week, but maybe I'll just come
you
watch
bring it
with
anyways.
you.
Yeah.
I'll come watch it with you so I can watch it early.
Okay. All right. With that said, before these guys get into a drag out brawl, let's talk real quickly about Tara and Jess's brawl at Fantasia.
Yeah.
They broke it down, and Tara is just still Tara.
Yeah,
she's
still
human
Tara.
or vampire.
Now she's Tara and more dangerous.
Right. So is that friendship done over Hoyt and?
I don't think so. I don't think that friendship is going to be done. It'll be nice to see them come to terms with who they are both becoming and find a common ground. I think that what you were talking about in, I think, a couple of episodes past when we were first led on to this friendship, I think you were right on. I think this is a really interesting perspective. 2 newly made, relatively newer vampires, both female, both younger, having common ground. I think there's still going to be some friendship there. There's going to be some bonding there, even if it might be slightly adversarial at first, kind of like what Bill and Eric kind of set up in the beginning of the show. Okay. We'll still enjoy seeing, in my opinion, Jessica and Tara kind of be adversarial and still have a kind of a friendship tone underneath, or just be adversarial and still interact. It's going to be fun.
Okay, so it's going to evolve.
I hope so, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it has to.
I would totally hope so,
I mean, it has to. And I feel like it makes a great storyline as well, because they're both new vampires.
Yeah.
Everyone else in the show has been a vampire for a really long time. So they kind of get the gist of it, where they're both going through it, and now Jessica can kind of teach someone else because clearly Pam isn't going to do it. You know what I mean?
Well, she does it in her own way. We talk about her having that Kenny Powers type of parental skills. If you ever watch Eastbound and Down, which he's like the father of the year, and you notice when she's talking to Tara, she almost built her up in the beginning, and then just to bring her right back down, like, damn it.
But that's what we've come to love about characters like Pam and Eric. You even mentioned that with Alcide. Like, it wasn't that it was a big disappointment. It was just vintage, classic Eric for him to be like, okay, you're gonna take care of Sookie. You're gonna do this with Sookie. You're gonna nurture her. And everyone would sit there and going like, oh, he's so amazing. And he's like, and you're gonna be revolted by her. You're never gonna touch her with a 10-foot pole. People are like, that's Eric. Way to go. By the same token, Pam is like, you did great out there. You're an idiot. Don't do it again. And then walks away. Those are the things that we've come to love, that kind of dryness, that ability to flip on you. They care. They definitely care, but they have an amazingly kind of flip-floppy way of showing it.
It's a beautiful layering of the show.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with that said, it's all over a boy. Over Hoyt.
I mean, really.
Now,
will they
is
get
it
back
worth
to
it? Let's take it the female perspective. Really? Hoyt? Let's talk about that. Really?
No.
Yeah,
no?
let's ask
No. I mean, she left him for a reason. There was a lot of reasons why she left him. I mean, they had a lot of issues, but she doesn't want him, but she wants to keep him safe, which I understand, because you have exes that you care about, but you don't necessarily want them to be in your life, but you don't want them to be hurt. And Tara was on the verge of draining him, so I mean, I get it, but I mean, to fight over him, really?
Well, judgments aside, what about maybe it's that first love? She's growing into being a woman, you know, even though she's gonna live forever, you know, that's that first love. You know, and she's always gonna have a soft spot for him. Will they get back together? I do agree. I don't see them getting back.
Well, especially not with him having been taken now. So we don't know exactly where that storyline is gonna go. Who knows if he gets ingratiated with that group? The what do you want to call them? The haters.
Yeah, the hate crime.
The hate crime guys. So you know they obviously knew him.
Right.
So they like recognized. They're like, holy, it's Hoyt, and then they pulled him into the van.
You think it's maybe like someone possibly from Merlot? Some of the regulars that know him, or someone that we've had in this universe before,
Or the guys that he's worked with.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe some of the construction,
Okay.
at least one or more of the construction workers that him and Jason used to work with,
Right.
or maybe still do. I think Hoyt still does work with them, right?
Yeah. Now, it made me sad watching that scene because he seemed, I don't want to say, I'm judging the character, he just seemed so desperate. And it showed a weakness. And of course, Jessica's, if there's ever a chance of them being together, it's not going to be from him pleading.
Yeah.
And you're laughing for some reason. Is it the chat roll?
Chat roll is amazing. Not very big fans of me tonight, but it's totally okay. I'm supposed to be the difference of Jenna. I'm not supposed to be Jenna, guys. I'm supposed to be totally different, but thanks for the input.
Okay, now, finishing up with Hoyt really quick, what can they give him to do?
That's a really great question. I mean, they made
Where
him
does
into
his
this
arc
really
go?
desperate guy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, my opinion, they've made him really desperate. And even in that moment of desperation when he seemed truly happy because he was given a glimpse of hope that Jessica was still in love with him, he was so desperate that it still turned off. Even though Jessica thought about it, she was still turned off overall because he is so lost and desperate.
He was begging, and
yeah,
nobody
and he was
wants
begging.
to be
So,
begged.
and then at that, he's clearly at that point where his life doesn't mean as much. As that other vampire was draining him and gave him the chance to be like, look, you're pretty weak. We should stop. He's like, I don't care. So, you know, he might pull a kind of a Jason where he's kind of desperate and lost and find salvation or some sort of a new cause with the hate crime bunch.
Interesting.
Just because I don't see where he's going to get the will to kind of keep going day to day because he's clearly not totally. I mean, he's clearly trying too hard with being a fang banger.
Right.
I mean, he's being drained by men outside the club.
Yeah, that was something I didn't expect to see.
No.
So now he's in discerning.
Well, that explains the depth of where of just how lost he is. The fact that he's going through that. But I think that's a great point. Maybe he gets involved with them because he needs somewhere to belong.
Right. His mom, he doesn't fit in with.
Yeah,
He has no friends
where is his
anymore.
mom?
It's just he doesn't have anywhere to go. So I feel like them picking him up is foreshadowing. We're gonna see him with them some more, and we're gonna find out who they are, which is exciting.
Oh, I hope that happens. Actually, I think that would just give him just a whole different direction in his arc.
Yeah, and you've said it a million times. Nothing happens on the show that isn't that isn't for a reason. And so they had to have a reason why they decided to film Hoyt getting hauled off.
Well, for a reason, we need to move on.
Excellent.
And I want to move on to the guy that Krisily absolutely loves.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the Ifrit Terry Patrick.
You love him.
You know, I love Terry. I love the character he's played up until this point. I loved the back and forth of him having this inner demon and not knowing what it was. But now to find out that it's this fire monster, like I feel like they have to go somewhere else in it, and it has to intertwine with one of the other storylines. Other than that, I feel like it's dead.
And
Tell me.
And you're onto something, because I think there's going to be a meshing between Terry and possibly Lafayette's character, because he channels spirits. And remember, the Iraqi woman that Terry shot, she put the curse on him. So the spirit, I think that there's going to be a bridge.
That would be great
between them. There's got to be a way to tie it all in.
Yeah, and we were talking about this earlier too. Like if there is no tie, then we've just got yet another thing, just this ancillary fire smoke monster.
It was like a tangent. They went to the left too far.
And if there's no way to connect it, then it's just Terry off on his own. And that's the one disappointing thing about the episode, to see Terry kind of, separate himself from his family, which is what made Terry so fun to watch, is that struggle between what he's done in his dark past and what he wants to be, and that he just wants to cook food and be a dad and be a husband. So for him to let that go, that's like, wow, okay, so what's gonna happen now?
Yeah, for me, I just love him even more. I do, and maybe Jenna and Roth have rubbed off on me. Not rubbed up,
Yeah.
But I think Terry, all he ever wanted, he's a normal guy. He's a regular Joe.
Yeah.
Right.
All he wants is a family. All he wants is a good life. And the fact of this one decision that, I saw that, he even told Arlene that, he was forced to do it by Patrick and whatnot, but he took accountability, but I still did it anyway. In the end, he just wants to be loved, and he just wants to be a good family man. And the fact that makes you want him to get out of this.
You do, and you felt bad for him tonight when he said that. He said, guys like this doesn't happen to guys like me. I've seen guys that this is supposed to happen to, where they find their girl and they have their family, and it's not guys like me. And you do feel for him, and you want him to get out of it. But at the same time, I'm over the fire monster.
But now the Ifrit, but it is a very valid. It's a demon from. Now you know a little bit about it, Yerman, right? We touched upon it last week.
Yeah, I mean it's there. The concept of an Ifrit is unknown, kind of like Middle Eastern or not adaptation, but kind of from that lore. But it's not like they didn't give him a name or it. It's not like one of the. My knowledge isn't that extensive. I don't know if there's like 5 classes. Like there's a fire one, a water one. It's not like I know about it, whether or not it has a name, or whether or not this is harking back to. From my understanding, all I know about it is that it's an Ifrit. There's random Ifrits. This one happens to be an elemental fire smoke monster guy. And by all means, if you guys know more, throw it in the comments. Throw it in and let us know, so that I can basically do my research along with you guys.
Yeah, make sure hit us up on iTunes or even YouTube as well.
For sure.
So,
yeah,
because we'll be on the next day on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I think but I got to figure out how we're gonna bridge Lala and Terry. How that's gonna happen.
Well, is he gonna have too much on his plate, Lafayette? I mean, he's also now sent on a mission, right? Ruby Jean is like, okay, well, you got to go save Jesus. So he's also trying to figure out his own demons. So how he's gonna kind of be able to pull both those together would be an interesting thing to see Lafayette kind of struggle with.
But why would Ruby Jean do? Okay, she said, "Baby, someone just sewed him done up."
Brilliant.
But didn't she did it right? Did she sew up Jesus's mouth herself? She has his head. She had his head last week.
No, they said it appeared to her.
It appeared to her.
Oh.
Remember, it appeared to Lafayette first on the table, and then it appeared to her. And all I kept thinking is, why the hell is he going to Lafayette's mom? Like, why is he going to her?
Right.
And Lafayette couldn't understand what he was trying to say, and she did. She understood what he was trying to say, and she said, "Where have you been?" So it's like he hangs out with her, like his head just hangs out with her.
I thought it was a physical manifestation. I thought it was physically there.
No. I didn't get that. But what's interesting with that storyline now is they made an allusion to the fact, or they've kind of hinted at the fact, that Ruby Jean also has some powers of her own, because she actually makes a comment about the fact that I've always been able to hear things and see things I shouldn't, and have to deal with things I wasn't supposed to know, that sort of thing. So that would explain how Lafayette kind of got his powers, is passed down from mother to son. So it's really cool to see. I mean, that scene was brilliant. Alfred Woodard did such an amazing job.
Yeah, which one of you said it was like your favorite scene in the last 3 seasons or 3 episodes?
It was great.
It really was fantastic. In 5 minutes, there was humor, there was love, there was sass, there was mystic. It had all kinds of elements, and literally they were on screen for what, maybe a minute all told. It was a fantastic scene.
I love you even though you're an abomination.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
His relationship with his mother is fantastic.
It totally understands why she threw herself into church and why she was this holy, godly person, because she had all these things going on inside of her and seeing all these things and hearing all these things, and she didn't want to. She didn't want to handle it. She didn't want to deal with it. So she threw herself to the Bible and to God. You know what I mean? And now her son has the same thing, but he's clearly not so godly.
I'm telling you, somehow Alan Ball will not disappoint. He's going to tie them.
Yeah, there's got to be a way.
Well, if they're going to tie it to anything, it would have to be Lafayette, because he had, you know what I mean? There's no other storyline that the Freak could really tie into, where Lafayette could be the person that takes the step further.
As far as witchcraft and stuff, it doesn't seem like anybody else is connected in that way. I don't know how something like Bill and Eric's involvement or somebody else's involvement would do that much good.
Unless the other witches come back.
Interesting.
Which, yeah, you know,
which could also bring what's her name from that is going out with Andy. Oh my gosh,
Holly. I was going to bring up. Actually, I was going to bring up Holly because fantastic. You just serve it up so I could hit it out. Okay, Holly. There's a scene in Merlot's, and all the girls are just ragging on the men, and they're like, all the men, like Arlene saying, hey, you know, why does every man I have to date have to be bring a ball of hurt with them? And I guess they're all in agreement, except for Holly. She said, except for my Andy.
Right.
Foreshadowing. What's going to go down with Andy then? So I think something's coming with Andy. Andy and Holly. You know, we've said Andy hasn't had some. He had Claudette. I mean, he had the fairy to play with, and being naked throughout half the season. But they need to give him something.
Yeah.
You know, I know he's on the case right now, but something with him and Holly that's going to create just something. I just know it. I've been calling it for weeks that, you know, Andy's been a hornball all season, and it's going to come up and bite him in the butt.
Possibly.
I think the fairy's going to come back, because he gets mystified by her and forgets all else when she comes around.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't care.
Yeah. Like even when he went to the club that night, he went right to her and totally forgot about Holly.
Yeah.
So I think the fairy, something's going to happen with the fairies that's going to bring them more towards not their club, and that's going to interact with him and cause problems with Holly.
Yeah.
Or he's going to get back on V, which I thoroughly enjoy.
Great. So not only a human, we've got werewolves on V, we've got humans on V. So speaking about werewolves on V, let's talk about Alcide versus reclaiming his state as the pack master.
That was so great. And did anybody else out there for 1 second think that other guy was going to have a chance? I mean, Alcide is like, what, a third of his age, 3 times as big. He's just towering over him, even in the shot. I don't know if they planned the shot that way, but even Alcide's like, he's just standing there in full glory with his, you know, awesome Alcide outfit on. The guy's like in a t-shirt and jeans, like, I'm gonna get you, and Alcide just doesn't for 1 second look like he could ever be intimidated. What a great scene.
You know, and he's still Alcide. He's, you know, by the books. You know, JD tells him a second has to recommend him to be Packmaster, and of course it's I'm trying to remember her character's name. She was from the first episode, the very sexy naked werewolf.
Yes.
And I'm sure they're gonna hook up now, basically, because she seconds the fact that Alcide is now gonna be the, you know, she has his vote to be Packmaster.
Yeah,
so.
and that means we're just going to get to see her naked again. So for all us guys, we're all psyched. That's fantastic.
Yes, it does balance it out.
We're just one step closer.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So would you guess? So why does he want to be Packmaster?
Probably to bring back that order that he is, in a sense, a guy that wants, he has his own set of laws, and those laws, like what's right and wrong, that I get from his characterization, Joe's characterization, and you know, he feels like the pack is out of order. He feels that it's chaotic, and especially with all this stuff, like now the certain werewolves' involvement with Russell. I think he wants to bring the order and the honor back to his pack, and, you know, whatever werewolves he comes in contact with, so that they're not vamping. You know what I mean? So they're not slaves to vampires or their minions. He wants to bring werewolves back to their full or their rightful glory.
Could it have anything to do with the fact that Eric glammed him into protecting Sookie with everything he has? Maybe he's now the leader of this pack, to also, you know, deep down inside, one of his ulterior motives is to protect Sookie from whatever may come.
Possibly, yeah. Although, I mean, he's that glamouring was exposed, right, by Sookie. So technically speaking, I think there was something to be said for when he got so mad when he was made to realize again, why are we dealing with Russell? God damn, you know, he was really mad. He was mad about the werewolves' involvement. I think it's, if there is a subtle thing, like he's still trying to protect Sookie, of course, but everything that Alcide has done since day one of meeting Sookie has been veiled with the need to protect Sookie. So it didn't take really Eric to glamour him and say, you must protect Sookie. The only fun thing about that was Eric saying, well, you don't want to touch her romantically. But he's probably still going to always protect Sookie's interest. That's what's going to make Alcide, you know, that's what's going to give him a lot of motive throughout the rest of the season.
I'm telling you, the werewolves. It's fun to see because I always wonder what they're going to do with the werewolves. You know, now we have Alcide in the pack, and being the pack master, and of course Marcus's mother, Martha, coming back into the picture because, dun 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 dun, Luna survived.
Yeah.
Told you. I did tell you. We talked about it last week because I texted him and I was like, I can't believe you said this episode wasn't good.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing. Like, there's no way she's dead. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah, no, we argued all week. Literally, she thought Luna was alive. We all thought Luna was gone.
I thought there was a very good chance they were gonna. Yeah. I mean, I was surprised to see her like not even badly. It's not like she was in a coma or anything like that. I mean, she's in recovery.
With that said, and then Emma, of course, goes to Martha's house.
Yes.
And as the cutest little husky wolf you'll ever see.
So cute.
But
and you knew that's where she was going to go.
Of course.
I mean, she turns wolf, the wolf instinct kicks in.
Yeah.
It's like she doesn't have control over that, and neither does Luna.
Yeah, and Martha's such a great character. They can't just let her go away with one or two episodes. I mean, her voice alone is like, I just feel like I need to sit down and listen to her stories.
And see, and you're spot on that, because did you notice that they took a lot of time? Of course, Martha wants Emma to, you know, that's her connection. That's her connection to Marcus still.
Right.
Yeah.
But they took some time. The camera actually stayed on Martha for just a beat, because this is my theory I have.
Sure.
I think she's behind, possibly, just throwing it out there.
The shootings.
Thank you.
I thought the same thing.
Really?
Could be. Go ahead,
She
Krisily.
really wants to bring Emma closer to her, which I mean, it's like a plus and a negative. You know what I mean? It's a catch-22. You kind of want Emma to go there because Luna cannot teach her how to be a werewolf. She can't teach her how to handle all the things that are going to come her way, and the anger and the aggression and all these things, right? So she kind of needs to go somewhere to get that. But then you don't want Emma to go there because then Luna loses a little bit of control, which you want. And so by getting rid of and offing Luna and Sam, she has Emma.
Because the fact that they kind of eliminated,
only 4.
like the shifters, it looked like they were taking out the shifters. But then, I'm gonna shoot us both in the foot here, Krisily.
No.
Sorry.
All
Do
right.
it. Shoot it.
I just snapped. They also, they did kill the vampire.
Right.
So that just kind of negates our.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hate crimers are kind of across the board. Whether Martha has anything to do with it, it doesn't necessarily, it's because again, even Sam alludes to the fact that there's only 4 shifters in that area, and not a lot of people know who they are. And it obviously had to be someone connected. So it most likely isn't just some random human.
Right.
It's probably someone that is connected somehow within the supernatural, within the Soup world. So it doesn't necessarily preclude Martha from being somewhat involved in it, but I don't know if she would mastermind that whole thing just so, like, them to say, or her to say to all those guys, the hate crimers, just go kill everybody, and then also make sure that you take out Luna and Sam, and that'll hopefully bring Emma back to me, and I don't know.
Okay. No, okay, I'll give you that. Point taken.
I'm just saying.
No.
Is that weird?
No, absolutely not. And what do you guys do?
I don't know.
Chatting amongst yourselves?
Awesome.
No, one thing I was going to say, I lost my train of thought. Is it chain or train?
Train.
That one too. Okay, so, it was
I was talking about Martha.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't say anything.
No, you said someone that's connected, that knows who each shifter is,
Right.
that has some inside information.
Yeah.
Here's a far reach. You know how nothing is done without reason on the show. What if it's the deputy that's in the sheriff's office? Because he kind of knows everyone. Kind of like Andy and Jason. They know. They have files possibly because it's someone that knows who these people are.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing it out there.
It's possible.
I'm throwing stuff out there.
Let us all know what you think, yo.
Yeah, see what bounces back. But hey, let's take a little quick commercial break.
Let's do it.
And when we come back, let's finish up with some Sookie, fairies, some news, gossip, and what happened to Christopher Maloney as Roman. You're watching AfterBuzz TV.
Hey there, good buddies. The handle's Woolly Bear. I'm a truck driving man, but I'm not that old school kind of truck driving man, no. I like to listen to podcasts while I'm driving through these great United States of ours. And my favorite podcasts in the world are from AfterBuzz TV. And why? Because AfterBuzz TV is like a post-game wrap-up show for all your favorite TV shows. Like Jersey Shore, Dancing with the Stars, Mad Men, and a whole truckload more. I like listening to my Gossip Girl podcast, catching up with all my fellow fans and getting all the latest news and gossip. I got some strong opinions. And AfterBuzz TV lets me share those opinions with thousands of other listeners. Woo-wee, what a feeling. I used to doze off on those lonely stretches of road. And don't worry, I got the cruise control. But now I'm wide awake and listening to all the AfterBuzz TV goodness. Check them out. Give them a holler. And tell them the old Woolly Bear sent you.
All right, and we're back, guys. And like we said before, if you're not watching us live, just make sure you go to the iPod. Is it the podcast app? That's what we're calling it.
It's the podcast app. Yeah.
Podcast app. Just click on the icon. It'll take you to your choice of podcast shows. And remember, you come to AfterBuzz, and they're all free. But all we ask is for you to comment, subscribe, and like I said, let us know, because we will interact with you and answer some of your questions you have throughout the week. And hopefully, we'll pick someone at a random, and they'll get their own AfterBuzz TV cup signed by all of us. Woo! Yes. So okay. What do we've got to talk about the fairies.
Yes.
Sookie and the fairies and Jason. How great was that scene when they go into the field, and then Sookie runs in, and Jason takes
so
like 5
great.
steps later, and he's like, Sookie?
Yeah.
Give me back my sister.
That was fantastic. He's Ryan. He's got great comic timing, but that was a great little bit. And she's like, get in here. She pulls him in from the thing. But so yeah, we're getting a lot more information about, or that is to say, we're being teased with a lot more information. We finally get a glimpse of how their parents were off. We're told it's a shady figure that smelled Sookie's blood, which obviously is upsetting Sookie, because guess what, folks? Sookie is responsible for yet more deaths. So it's alluded to that she's now possibly involved with or responsible for her parents' death, as it was her blood that attracted the vampire. Although by your theory, which is totally valid in my opinion, the vampire, he or she, should have smelled all the family's, fairy-ness, by that same token of what they've set up as a precedent in other episodes. So, hopefully she'll learn to get over that, like she's learned to deal with all this pain that she's been thrown at. But yeah, and Jason now is playing. He's on like a little mission. He wants to find out what went on with his parents, and he's it's helping him reconnect. We get to see their dad.
Thank you for bringing that up. I was going to take a step back and ask you about that. Ask you all about that. What do you think the dad was telling Jason when because Jason obviously was dreaming, and he said the person you have to fear is, and then it just Alan Ball, why'd you do that?
I hate.
Why do you wake up? Like, just let him finish his sentence, then wake up.
Yeah.
Who does he have to fear? Is it a vampire? You thought it was something else. I immediately thought, I was like, Bill? Who? What vamp? Who? And you said something, I thought that was poignant.
I was just making I was just making a joke that he has the only thing to fear is fear itself. But as far as who he should fear, I don't know. I kind of want to find out. I'd be really interested to find out, because again, nothing happens for no reason, and everything is a plot of some sort.
Sure.
So it'll be really interesting to see, like, should he be fearful of himself, maybe? Because if he goes on this crusade, so to speak, he may not like what he sees on the other side.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, or maybe he'll find out something about himself or his past that he doesn't want to know about, because it's clearly he's already dealing with his own issues. That's an interesting twist. I didn't think about this, that he's already dealing with issues about finding out more about himself and coming to terms with who he is. So, and that kind of got alluded to, it kind of got set up, and then we kind of put it on the back burner. So maybe they'll revisit that as he goes on this crusade. Maybe he'll find out even more that disturbs him about himself, and he has to come to terms with more about himself and where he's from, and that'll be even more of a struggle for him, because clearly this is one of those episodes or one of those seasons for Jason.
I just hope he doesn't turn into Eric with the basketball shorts and the sweatshirt, where he's wandering around hopeless. But do you think we know the vampire that killed their parents? Because at first I said it was Bill, because it would make the most sense. But then the fact that it would make the most sense is why it won't be Bill. So I'm wondering if you think we've already been introduced, or we already know the vampire that killed.
It's a great theory that it could be Bill.
I mean, it would make so much sense. It would cause so much more drama with him.
So
and
much
Sookie.
more drama,
It would
right?
explain why he researched her.
Right. I was just going to say that would explain all the files.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a great little connection.
You need that tie-in, I think. I mean,
yeah. Or is Bill gonna have killed the vampire that killed them? Do you know what I mean? Is it gonna go there?
Yeah.
You
Because
mean he's always been the guardian of the
Yeah.
Stackhouse family?
Yeah, because Sookie wasn't in the car. Why wasn't she in the car? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
she
obviously
wasn't-
they were
she wasn't in the
out,
car,
but there
right?
was a
That's
bloody
right.
Band-Aid. So it's just like, was he always watching and killed the person that killed her family, or was he the one that killed her family, and that's why he was always attracted?
That's great questions. Well, so our questions: who does he, or what does he need to fear? Who is that vampire, and what the heck is going on now? The last we cut off with them getting completely supercharged, not supercharged, but everybody's literally concentrating fairy zapping on him. What does that do for the love of Pete besides repel Russell across the hallway?
It's really weird because she went to use her fairy power on the I can't remember his name, the young kid.
On Claude?
Yeah.
Claude.
And all of a sudden, everyone turned it on her.
Yeah.
But she couldn't use it.
Yeah, it
She
was like an
couldn't
electric
use
spark
it.
that went, no, it's like, you know, she couldn't do it.
She short-circuited.
And she was also having trouble reading Claude's mind. Remember, there was a lot of first.
Right.
She opens herself up. She tries to read everybody's thoughts, and then the sound is getting muffled and muffled, and she was having trouble. And then she's like, she had that look on her face, like, what's going on? I don't understand. She tries to zap, doesn't work. Next thing you know, Jason and her are getting zapped by like 5 fairies at the same time. So now we're gonna, what is that gonna do?
It makes you wonder if Sookie's more than just a fairy. Like, is there something else going on that they have, that they know about, that they're constantly trying to pull her into these things? Because they're all living their merry life down there. And the last time with the fruit, they were trying to pull her in. Like, why are all these fairies constantly trying to pull her in? So is there something that she has that they don't? Or does she have a power that goes over them? Or is she not fully fairy? Does she have something else into her?
It's been established so far that actually it was your last thought that she's not full fairy,
right?
But they still want her. They still need her. They still need, and that's why they're always after her. You know, Mab and whatnot. But what I was gonna say, I'm losing my train. I was so overthinking it. Like when
so
she
much
couldn't.
being thrown
there's
at us.
so many stories
There's so
tonight.
much being thrown at us.
When she couldn't read their minds, I thought it was because they were other fairies, but I forgot that she's been able to read other fairies throughout the seasons, and she hasn't any problems. So it's a great observation that
It's almost like they were cutting in too, because there was like a buzz. There was the same buzz each time.
Yeah,
it's almost
yeah,
like they
yeah.
were cutting into her frequency and saying, no, you can't hear this. Because they clearly were trying to talk to each other through the mind because they couldn't speak it. So it's almost like other fairies were overhearing and cutting in so that they couldn't get the whole story out. Because they're not supposed to tell Sookie this story for some reason.
Interesting. And that's an interesting point too. Krisily just mentioned about how, so if she's a hybrid, maybe she has powers that regular straight up fairies aren't able to, like, you know, maybe there's something about Sookie's powers that are strengths of all other fairies, but she doesn't have some of their weaknesses, for example. Much like you know, Daywalker hybrid vampire storylines have come in the past, like with characters like Blade. So he's got most of their powers, but not most of their weaknesses, except for the part about the hunger for blood. So maybe she, which I don't know if we've established anything about that. That'd be interesting for me to go back and try to find out. But has she been established as having powers that other fairies don't? Which might be something that, like you said, they might be after.
I don't believe they have, but it's a definite possibility because Jason, in the books at least, he is a werepanther. So he's a werepanther, and he's still of the lineage of the fairy lineage and whatnot. Right. So it's definitely possible, I would think. So you know, and I know they take and they they somewhat take from the books.
Liberal, yeah.
So that is definitely a theory. But now, one thing we're saving the best for last.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I don't know, unless you guys want to hit real quickly upon Sam, Andy, and the gun shop owner, who we call the Frog Brother from Lost Boys.
Yeah.
How Sam ended up killing and saving Andy, you know, because here's the thing, I think it could be a red herring. I think the gun shop owner may not be part of the hate crime killers. I think he's just a random guy who got caught in the middle of it.
Well, we don't know. There was nothing that said that he was, right?
No,
but he was
there
just going
the
into
phone
survival.
call, and he also had gotten off the phone and he was like, you guys have fun tonight and be safe. So he got up, that was
Okay.
the last thing he said.
Good
Then he hung
point.
up the phone, and then Andy came in and he was
point.
okay until Sam walked in, and he recognized Sam. Like
Okay.
you could see it in his eyes that he was, when Andy walked in, he didn't give him that look of like, oh my God, you're supposed to be dead. You know what I mean? When Sam walked in, it was like he saw a ghost. So I feel like there's definitely a connection. He may not be a part of it, but he's the person supplying the bullet, so he knows about it. Because
point.
why else would he pull the gun?
Yeah.
On a cop.
So do you think now Andy owes Sam for in the future?
Well, I mean, I definitely, for one thing. Well, I don't know if Andy will think that he owes Sam, because he seemed
That's
awfully.
not Andy.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it's Andy's modus operandi, but you know, because he's like, Jesus, come on, Sam. But it was from a superhero fan point of view. That scene is awesome, and the scene before it when Sam says, "Let me help you, Andy, because if you don't, I'm gonna go and do my thing and figure out who did this anyways." So it sounds like Sam. We haven't even begun to find out how powerful Sam can be as a shifter. I mean, obviously, it sounds like it could be pretty powerful. He could shift into anything,
right.
But the concept that he could have heightened senses beyond anything that's ever been seen, and the fact that he can now, he's almost, kind of copying a werewolf in his ability to kind of smell things. That was great, bit. He's like, I smelled him going into survival mode.
That was amazing.
That was fantastic. He just catches a whiff of him, and then he just grabs the crossbow, and down the poor guy goes. So
nice shot, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Right in the heart. I mean, that was, I don't know if that's Sam's first time with a crossbow. Obviously, he's got skills.
Well, remember, he was a killer.
True.
A few seasons ago,
True.
He's a good
He's
shot.
had a dark past too. So it'll be interesting to see now if Jason and Sookie end up being a Riggs and Murtaugh team, and then by default, Sam and Andy become kind of a little team of whodunit on their own. Because I thought at first, a lot of us thought Jason and Andy were going to be like a duo now.
Right.
Since they were playing off each other.
They've thrown us off
so much. This episode had so much meat in it. I almost feel like I should have brought some French fries, some Béarnaise sauce, maybe a nice glass of red wine. I don't know.
Nice.
There was a lot.
And of course, we're leaving the best for last.
Yeah.
What went down with the Authority? Ooh. What went down with 500 can't beat 2,800. And we've had people on YouTube that were asking, actually, if how old Roman was, and and then it got us to thinking, how is Roman and Russell gonna, he doesn't stand a chance against Russell, and which apparently he didn't.
Well, it was great to see them establish a little bit of their history. It was a great comment by Russell to say, you are a pompous son of a bee in the Renaissance, and you're still a pompous son of a bee. So clearly, they've definitely come in contact and dealt with each other before, which we didn't necessarily know, although I'm sure everybody suspected. That was a great little bit.
No, and what I noticed the most about Roman tonight, he became the self-righteous, he was on the pulpit, he was going off. And if you guys notice, and it was in midway through the episode when he just goes off on his tirade with the very expensive blood. And they it seemed like the Authority was kind of like rolling their eyes and kind of going through the motions with him about he's breaking into Psalm and whatnot. And here we go, Roman again, self-righteous Roman on his soapbox.
Eric had a great bit too, didn't he?
Yeah, I wish we couldn't see it on the screen. It seemed like he was like trying to wrap it up.
Fantastic.
It was like that whole the violin.
Yeah,
and
there go the trumpets. That was a great bit.
It was. He was like the annoying basketball coach tonight.
I think it's because his shirt was so tight. It was so tight. What was that shirt?
Nike, baby.
That went completely against what I thought Roman was supposed to wear. Like, all of a sudden, he became his coach character from, what do you call it? The Wedding Runner. I just blanked on it. Julia Roberts. Richard Gere, the second time they teamed up.
Runaway Bride.
Runaway Bride. Thank you. My God, I just blanked on the title for crying out loud. What was up with that?
He was that
I mean,
coach
I
tonight.
love Maloney. I love Roman as a character, but after all those power suits he'd been wearing, and the posturing and the gravitas that he brought to that first scene, it just seemed weird all of a sudden that his choice for an execution was a blue, stretchy Nike True Fit shirt.
He is the CEO.
I had a hard time with
Is that like a Steve Jobs thing?
Sorry, I'll let you. He was CEO, and he said he was going to hit the links before sunrise. It's a golf shirt.
Okay.
Now, what were you going to say, Chris? I'm sorry.
Go.
I've had a hard time with him the whole season. I was a big Law & Order fan, so I couldn't get past Stabler. Every time he walked in the room, I was like, where's Olivia? Is she coming? I couldn't, I mean, his acting was great, but I couldn't get past that image of him being the detective of the homicide. Even when he yelled and was dramatic, I still couldn't get past that. I had a hard time with him this season.
It's funny we're talking about him in past tense because we don't know if he necessarily died, right? Because
he
you
didn't
guys
explode.
Right. So and you said you'd missed that part. As if memory serves, at the last minute, right when he orders Edgington's execution, he I believe mentions about, and again, gang, comment, chat roll, throw it in there. But I believe he mentions an ice pick because he doesn't want it to get messy like it did when he unfortunately took out our little buddy.
When he got Jacob Hopkins'
when he got Jacob. So I think he was saying something like, I don't want to get it messy again. So bring me an ice pick to, I think, freeze as it kills.
Oh, I see. I totally misread that because I thought what he was asking for was the chest pack that Bill and Eric had been wearing because he had the phone out because he was going to press the button for him to just die.
Okay,
and
that
when he
could
pressed
be.
the button, it didn't work, and that's when he got up with this spike.
Okay. Well, but is there an ice function in that thing as well, in that chest piece that they wear?
That I'm not aware of, but I almost like that first thing you said, the fact that it's an ice pick and it just contains it. So does it mean he's frozen? Does it mean?
Then if it is on the chest thing, I'm so sorry to interrupt. If it is on the chest, that chest piece that they wear, technically speaking, Russell is then. He's got he's got a stake in his hand, right? Not one of those chest pieces.
Right. The chest piece was still on him when he got up.
Excellent. So that still doesn't explain, unless there's an ice component or something we don't know about, that doesn't explain the weird graphics, the fact that Roman doesn't instantaneously explode. He's got like a weird, bubbly, almost icy looking look, and then fade, cut to credits. So what was that about?
And first off, I think we're forgetting one slight thing.
Yeah. Oh my God, keep going.
The fact that he pressed the button and Russell didn't die.
Exactly.
No,
Who deactivated it?
Who do you think?
Sabotage.
Who do we think? I'm letting the fans know. Who do you think, Krisily?
Why can't I think of her name? Brawless.
Oh, my favorite, Salome.
I do because Eric wanted to go see Nora. He wanted to talk to her about what happened. He thought it was her that led all the people to Russell, and he asked her, and she said no. And just as she says no, Salome walks by and tells Nora, "We are killing Russell tonight." Why would she give her that bit of information if they weren't talking to each other, if they weren't working together on something? I think she's the one who brought the people to Russell and brought Russell to the building. And she's the one who made sure that it was inactive, because the little girl that puts them on, her face was like scared when he pressed the button and it didn't go off. And she smiled. Salome smiled and cried at the same time.
Okay, and there's so many things happen in those 2 minutes.
Like literally.
So many.
Okay, first off, there was a look. Also, when Salome said Russell's about to die, and then Nora says the prophecy's true.
Right.
It is coming. It is the time is here.
Right.
And Eric's like, what?
She says something, and there's some eye contact communication that happens between, because they've already alluded to the fact that those two have a relationship just beyond the fact that Salome loved Nora and treated her like a sister or daughter. There's obviously some conspiring that they've set up in the past episodes this season.
Huge question here. When Russell overtook Roman, why didn't anyone else in the authority grab Russell? They're vampires. They're very fast.
Right. And they all just sit back, waiting for something to happen. They're just...
No one moved.
No one moved. And they're all quicker than thought, right?
Right. So did everyone want Roman out? Are they all sanguinistas? What's going on?
Or is Roman, as you said, or as we talked about in the show, so far, like, so unmoving with his stance and his viewpoints that he's lost his following?
It makes sense. Yeah, because we said the eye rolling, and I could tell that they just weren't into the speeches anymore. It's like it was like a deaf speech.
They looked annoyed.
Yeah.
They looked bored.
And Eric and Bill, that whole bit when Roman is trying to get trying to get Eric to admit that he is on board, and Eric just would not do it. And Bill's like, "Wait, am I gonna die in the next 6 seconds? Do I need to prepare?" No, he said the right thing. Okay, good.
Watch them go back and forth was brilliant.
Phenomenal.
Like
That's
you
phenomenal.
literally saw Bill get up in his seat and then sit back in his seat, and then get up in his seat and then back. Like it was brilliant because the focus was on Eric, but if you watch Bill, like you kept seeing him being like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die." Okay, wait, he said the right thing.
Right.
Like it was brilliant.
And Eric's looks when he finally comes to understand that there's something going on with Nora, who he implicitly trusted before, when Nora alludes to the fact that she knows that something's coming, Eric is sitting there thinking, whoa, what's happening? What's about to happen? What don't I know? Because although Eric is, with Bill and whatnot, at the end, he's a self-serving vampire that he himself has lived 1,000 years. Right. And that takes skill. That takes survival skill. So he likes to know everything going on around him so that he can control it to his advantage. Right. So you see that shock that all of a sudden he doesn't understand what's going on. So all that stuff gets thrown in the last minute, and they're like, and credits.
And that is the halfway point of this season of True Blood.
Yeah.
It is amazing. Honestly, let's. I know we're getting the hook here pretty soon. Let's move on a little quick. Do we have any news and gossip, perhaps?
AfterBuzz TV.
Yeah, your mom. We've got news, buddy.
It was just a little bit of gossip. I just liked reading a lot of comments and articles after, obviously, their appearance at Comic-Con this past week, and it was apparently in a lot of interviews. Obviously, Bill and Eric are being asked about their bromance this season, and they were alluding to the fact that they've gotten to be such good friends on and off the camera, and their bromance is so well developed at this point that it was, I guess they were having trouble sometimes staying on track. and they had mentioned being called in by Alan Ball, and he just wanted to say, like, look, guys, you're having a lot of fun. I love you, but I need you to stay on point. So that was really nice to see them kind of allude to the fact that they're having so much fun that it sometimes gets in the way of work, which is great because it totally plays on camera, and we're enjoying watching them so much.
Yeah, no, I heard there was a point too that they were so chummy that, like you said, when they called them in, they were about to be staked and they're still like goofing off. And Alan Ball said, like, let's step it up, guys. Let's be a little more serious.
There needs to be a serious moment here. You're about to die.
No, and I came across a little article from VH1, and they were also at Comic-Con, and it was a quick little interview with Rutina Wesley, and they were asking about her and her transition to being a vamp, and she said she was talking about the struggle. You know, of course, that this was going to be the most interesting part of her season. It was her struggle in becoming a vampire, but that the biggest struggle is upcoming, and we're going to be privy to it in the next few episodes. It's the first encounter with Tara and her mom. Oh, and how that's going to go down.
That's right. We haven't even oh my God. Yeah, there's still so much more coming.
There's still so much more the second half of the season. So make sure you check on the rest of the site, because they also talk to Eric Alexander Skarsgård, and he talks about there's going to be a lot more, as Krisley's laughing.
Love him.
There's going to be a lot more flying towards the end of the season. So we're going to maybe see Eric flying around.
Yeah.
So make sure to check into VH1.com.
More powers. I love it.
Okay, and that's it for news and gossip.
Yeah.
And now,
you know what that brings us to?
Yep.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, we've reached the halfway point. We got 6 left. Krisily, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. You're the newbie. We got to mess with you. What's going to happen this rest of the season? What do you say?
There's so much. I think Sookie's going to find a new power. I think that we're going to find something about Sookie that we don't know yet. I'm really curious to see who she's going to end up with, though, because it seems like everyone's leaving her now. And she's really alone, and I don't know how much I love that. So I'm
really,
yeah. Okay. I just, I of course I want to see her with Bill, but I'm really interested to see how that goes, because there's so much that they have to tell us before the season ends, and there's so little time. So and I don't think that Roman is completely dead either.
Ooh, Yerman, care to counter that one?
That's awesome. Well, honestly, the one thing that occurred to me, kind of popped in my head as I was watching, especially this episode, is, again, I always like to come up with predictions that I would love to see, as well as it would be really interesting to see when all this goes down at the end of the season, Bill and Eric don't find themselves at the head of the authority. As this struggle becomes apparent, this civil war happens within the authority, as may or may not happen. I don't know, with Salome taking over and then the chaos that might bring. Somehow, Bill, who already is kind of the company man and finds himself politically through these situations, and Eric, who's just basically wanting to survive, it would be interesting to see them all of a sudden find themselves in a position of running the show that they probably didn't either want to run in the case of Eric or think they would be running in the case of Bill. That would be interesting to see. And then, of course, that brings all kinds of interesting notes, because then Bill, what's Bill's relationship with Sookie have to be if he's the head of the authority? Right. How is Eric going to be low-key and survive if all of a sudden he's put in a position of, like, political correctness, which he can't stand, maybe? Right. That would be an interesting thing for me to see. Like, all of a sudden, everybody dies, and Eric and Bill are just standing there thinking, oh my God, that's us. That would leave us. Here we go. That would be cool.
Okay. I think what's left is we haven't seen Newland.
Yeah.
We need to see Newland.
Yeah.
And I heard from a little bit of Birdie that there's going to be a character that's coming back that was very prominent in the first couple seasons of True Blood who left us.
Yeah.
And we'll see him in the second half of the season. And he's huge. And I'll leave it at that.
Please stand by. Accessing data banks.
Let us know, guys, if you know who I'm talking about. And that's it for this week of True Blood, guys. Next week, we'll have Jenna Roth, and they're going to have a full report about Comic-Con, everything that went down. But Yerman, where can they find you, buddy?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Yermangur, YERMANGUR, and you can also find me here Tuesday nights at 9 for Real Housewives in New York City.
And Krisily, big round of applause for Krisily stepping in tonight, being our guest co-host tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I like to bring a little bit of fun to the show. I know you guys are real serious over here at True Blood, but I'm a big fan and I love it. So happy to be here. And you can find me at Krisily on Twitter.
All right, and you can find me at The Everyday Man. So for Marissa, Phil, Yerman, Krisily, I'm JC. That's it for tonight. See you next time.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.